What's up, guys, and welcome back to the DualSense podcast. This is episode 51. I am one of your co-hosts. Of course, I'm the Matthew McConaughey of PlayStation Podcasts.
Oh God!
All right.
In what?
All
True Detective?
All right. Yes, I'm. Like I was telling our friend Ryan from the For the Players podcast, we were tweeting, and I told him that I consider myself to be True Detective Season 1 sad bastard Matthew McConaughey.
Burning heaters.
Burning heaters. Yeah, absolutely. But I'm one of your co-hosts, Jason, and I'm joined, as always, by your other co-host, Travis. Travis, what's up?
Well, I am dealing with eBay customer service right now.
Oh, wow. What'd you do? Did you buy or sell? You buying or selling?
No, they suspended my account, which is interesting. So I get on there. I'm like, why do they sent me an email? Get on there and they say, you owe us $52.
Ooh, you didn't pay an invoice.
Here's the thing. I haven't sold anything since December.
They wouldn't have sent you the invoice until January, though, right?
Right. So I don't know what's going on. So I get on here and I'm like, hey, why do I owe you $52? So the first person it puts me on with is fucking
Bob.
Yeah, it's like Bob, but his real name's Abu, and he was in Aladdin. So like, he's not answering any of my questions. He's like, well, I need to send you to customer service. And I was like, perfect. Or not, I'm sorry, to billing.
Okay, I was going to say, what do you mean send you to customer service? Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, so he sends me to billing, which, by the way, irritates me because I'm already in customer service, and I know somebody asks you this question every day.
Correct.
Every day. So I'm already annoyed. So they send me to Albin Ashley, which sounds like her name's a reverse. She should be Ashley Albin. That's fine. Doesn't matter. So she asked me the same question. I know you can see what I just told Abu. I know you can see it.
Yes.
Because there's no way you can't. And then she's like, so I tell her the same thing. And then she says, what's your name so I can access your account? I'm logged in to your website. I'm chatting with you from my login. And I'm already in the fucking chat. You know who I am. You have all of my shit there. So what I've done is I've been responding to her with one word at a time. So I'll write a word to enter, So she has to read everything in a vertical line because it's pissed me off. And then she's like, "Oh, this is over $50. It's not like it's not like I can't pay it. I just don't understand like what's happening." Because it told me when I set this up, I put in all my information, and my understanding was they took all of these fees out. After I get paid and sell it, they take their fees out anyway. And then if there's additional fees, like if they send it out into an ad for some reason, or there's some adjustment, or there's a complaint and they refund somebody or whatever, like they'll let me know and they'll bill me, right? Well, one, I never got the emails sent to my Gmail ever, which is interesting because I got all the other emails like, hey, this thing you looked at still for sale. This thing on your watch list just went, but I never got the email saying, hey, you owe us $50. And the last email I got from them was your account was suspended. So I get onto my account, which I haven't looked at my account messages because I don't ever use eBay unless I'm selling. I don't buy anything on eBay. And I have 13 emails, 2 a month telling me I owe them money for the last 6 months. I didn't know because it didn't. So anyway, so now when I logged in, by the way, when I logged in from my new computer, I got an email on my Gmail telling me, hey, a new computer logged into your eBay account. So you could tell me everything, but that I owe you money. It drives me insane. So anyway, I don't know what this is from. I don't know if it's an invoice. I don't know if it's somebody complained, because when I try to click it to see my invoices, it tells me my account's suspended and I can't look at anything.
Jesus Christ.
So anyway, so it's like I'm jumping through 85 fucking hoops here.
Correct.
Is it my final value fees? Is that what we're talking about? My final value of shipping fees? That's fine, but I thought I was already paying for those in the first place. Like, I'm paying the shipping fees anyway.
In my experience, they bill you the following month for whatever eBay's cut is, right? Like if you sold something in December, they're going to bill you in January for whatever their cut is my experience. And then because I do get the emails with my account statements every month, even though it always says 0 because I haven't sold anything in like a year. But I ran into the same problem as you did one time, a long time ago. And so I set it up to auto draft basically from my PayPal account. Is what I did, is how I fixed that problem, because
Gotcha.
I too think that my account got suspended over like $2.90 something cents because I sold like a Pokemon card for like $100 or something. And I was like, what is this shit? And so they did the same thing to me.
All
But
right, whatever.
they're very sneaky. They're
You
very
know what?
sneaky.
If I never pay it, fuck them. I'll just make a new account. They'll never know.
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know I don't know how they would know it was you. You know what I mean? You can
Right.
just put a PO box. I don't know. I don't
Yeah,
know
I mean,
what you do.
I'll eventually pay them. If I decide to sell something in the future, I'll pay it then.
Right. If you ever decide to
They
sell on eBay.
legitimately made me mad.
Well, I'm sorry. It's Google, no, that's not Google. I don't know who owns eBay.
I don't know. Jeff Bezos bought the Washington Post so he can write positive stories about himself. So who knows
Oh,
anymore?
good. Well, Travis, we are a PlayStation podcast. We promise. And you and I get together every week to discuss all of the news and rumors, new game releases, and a little bit more in the world of PlayStation. We do so all in under 90 minutes every time. We never go over one way or the other. We post new episodes every Monday on all the usual podcast services around the world, as well as YouTube, where you can find us at the DualSense Podcast. And we also post game streams and clips there occasionally as well. If you guys want to chat with us, you want to communicate with us, you can find us on the Twitter at the DualSense Pod, like some of you do. And we very much appreciate that and enjoy that. And Travis, before we move on here with what we're playing, I have to say that I can't tell you how much it delights me, how happy it makes me that we have found an audience in Australia, down under, and I love hearing from our Australian blokes and Sheilas, and brings great joy in my life. So
Sheila.
she is Sheila, so I love that. Anyway,
Speaking of Australia, we were at dinner tonight. We went to the Mexico restaurant, and
a Mexico restaurant.
by the way, let us know if you have let us know if you have the Mexico restaurants in Australia, because I'm very curious.
That is a good question.
Is that a stupid American question? You could tell us that too.
Probably.
They didn't bring me any utensils, and I had ordered the thing where you make your own tacos, because I'm a maker, so I make my
Is
own
that a
tacos.
fajita?
No, I got
Oh,
Polo Mijilisco, which is
no.
chicken and bacon and rice and beans. So
Okay.
the 4 food groups of American Spanish cuisine. So
Yes. The Four
anyway,
Horsemen.
I needed a utensil to put the stuff onto my taco, and my wife gave me her fork because she wasn't using it because she was eating nachos, and she said, "Do you need this knife?" And it was a butter knife, and I pulled the steak knife off of my plate and said, "This is a knife." I was really proud.
Crikey, this is a knife.
I was really proud.
I'm picking up on some of the Australian lingo from talking with our Ryan from the For the Players podcast. I'm picking up on some and then listening to their show a little bit, and I love some of the shit that, like, we say dope, or whatever. It used to be tight. That used to be the word.
Mhm.
Apparently in Australia it's ripper, which is fucking
Oh,
awesome.
that is a
So
great name.
yeah,
Great word.
it's a ripper time, mate. Whatever. That was probably like Cognate
Mhm.
or some shit. I don't know.
I don't know.
Anyway, let's get back on track here. Let's talk about what we've been playing here very quickly before we get into a bunch of news. So go ahead, tell me what you've been playing.
Got back from the Indianapolis on Wednesday.
You brought my PlayStation with you too.
And I did. It was in my draft. I played what did we play? Wednesday I played play a little FIFA. I got to League 1 in France. Didn't even realize I'd gotten there. I thought I was still in League 2. So at some point I went from League 3 to League 2, and I didn't realize I'd made that jump. I missed
Mm.
that completely. It would help if I could read the French words like in the stadium. That probably would have helped a lot.
Sure.
I beat RB Richtofen, the Red Bull team from Germany. I beat them
Uh-huh.
for like the Supreme Cup or Super Cup. I don't fucking know, guys. I won a trophy, and
Sounds like the Hitler
then
Cup.
oh god, you can't. Hey, be careful where you get your swastikas tattooed.
Mhm.
And then I played PSG in the first game in League One. So, hey, you're in League One, play PSG, right? That's fun.
Mhm.
I won 4-1, but it wasn't easy. I ended up getting 2 penalties. I did the old school. Remember when we used to play co-op seasons like in what was that, like FIFA 17 or 16? What was that?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Back that year, guys, we made it to Division 1.
We did. Yeah, we did.
If you don't know, there was like what was there, like 25,000 people in Division 1 when we got there? I mean,
Yeah.
that's pretty good, guys. Anyway, and then the next year we couldn't get out of League 4. It doesn't but that doesn't matter. So
Correct.
anyway, there's a thing you could do where you hold L2 and you kind of protect the ball. And when you play online against people, you can kind of set them up if they're over aggressive. You can set them up to where you kind of get them at the right angle. You can see they're coming really hard. You can hold L2 to protect the ball, and a lot of times they'll just run you over, and you can get, you can get a foul called, you can get a penalty if you're lucky. Sometimes you can get a cheap card on them, and we used to do that sometimes to get set up. So we would do it in the box a lot of times, and worst case scenario, they run into you and knock the ball out of bounds. You get a corner. It's like it's just easy.
Mhm.
So I pulled that trick out and got a penalty actually, and the guy got a card. So that's how I went up 1-0. Then I ran down the sideline and did the fake shot, and
Nice.
I tried to do the fake shot into a skill move, and when I pulled the stick over, I just ran into the center back. Like it was just nothing. It was harmless. Like it was you're playing, you hit each other,
Yeah.
and they blew the whistle and gave me a second penalty. So I got 2 penalties and scored. I was up
My
2-0.
god.
It was ridiculous, but those dudes are fast, by the way. Like when they get on a breakaway and it's Mbappe and Di Maria and Neymar, like they were on one breakaway, they were so far in front of me. I did the old NCAA football thing where you just quit running to save stamina because it's
Mm.
like
Mhm.
j- just take it. We'll regroup. We'll regroup at midfield.
Mhm.
On that actual play, they crossed it over to Neymar and he kicked the ball to Beirut. And so somehow they didn't score. But anyway, I got super lucky and beat them, and so I'm sure the next time they'll pound my head into the ground. But that's fine.
Naturally.
The only other thing that we played was we played Chivalry 2 finally,
Mhm.
and I gotta say the tweaks they've made since the beta are great. The gameplay feels a lot smoother to me. I did notice that.
Yeah.
Feels not that it was stagnant before, but it feels less stagnant if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I got a lot more drag hits. I got a couple of combos by accident, and
Mhm.
before I was just like before when I was playing, I felt like I was just I mean, I was having a blast, but I felt like I was just always on the defensive, like legitimately just fighting for my life. And then, now I guess the gameplay tweaks have made it to where I actually feel like I can, be aggressive, which is nice. And we played
Mhm.
some new boards. We played a night board,
Oh, yeah.
which was really cool. I really like that board. And then we played the jousting arena, which was a blast. And I
Love that one.
knocked myself out or knocked myself over because that little thing that spins that you get hit with a target, the little
Yes.
spin.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I just walked into that thing and I hit it and it spun and I stood there
Oh,
and
yeah.
watched it spin and then it came around and hit me in the back of the
Yeah.
head because I'm an idiot. So anyway, but no, it was a blast. I chopped off some heads. I got into a couple of there was a guy that was in like every one of our lobbies. I forget his name now. It was like Meatball or something like that.
Mhm.
And me and him had a couple of good sparring bouts back and forth where we were just blocking and blocking and blocking and until his teammate battle axed my head off. But anyway, it's awesome. It's a fun game, and it's not like they're always working on it. Like, and if you go to their Twitter today, they were talking about
Yeah.
adding a screen where you can see all your stats and making the ribbon boards, the top and bottom smaller. So yeah, I mean it's awesome. I enjoy it. It's like it reminds me of some of the computer games I played as a kid at school. Instead of actually doing web design class, we would play these computer games. It reminds me of those in a way, like the way you move, the way it feels, the way you can change your characters and whatnot. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's a blast.
Just for background to update everyone, I am back in the game, pun intended. My PS5 arrived on Thursday, yesterday. We're recording on Friday. So it arrived yesterday. I'm back. They sent me a brand new console. They did not send me mine back. It's a different
Oh.
serial. It's a different serial number. And when I turned it on, I had to set everything up like new. So I got to go through the whole process again, which is mildly irritating because I had my HDR settings and everything set up, but I digress. So with all that said, I downloaded all kinds of shit. I just, set it all to download, put it in rest mode, and walked away. Anyway, came back last night, and we did play Chivalry 2, like you said. The only thing that I'll really add from what you said is I agree that I love the game. It is awesome. It's so much fun. There's not a time. There's never a time when I'm playing it where I'm like, this sucks. Like
Right.
if I get double or triple or quadruple teamed, like, yeah, that stinks. Like I know I'm gonna die, but like that's just part of it. Like I'm
Right.
never not having a good time.
Mhm.
So, and I think that's the best recommendation I can give of a game is if I'm never not having a good time, if I'm always having a good time, I don't know what I'm trying to say. If I'm always having a good time is what I'm trying to say, then I don't know what else you can say. So, hoping to play more of that tonight. And then the other thing that I tried last night because it launched for about 10 or 15 minutes was Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart.
Mhm.
I have to admit, I was a little tired because it was after midnight. So I was dozing a little bit, but I played for about 10 or 15 minutes, played it on the performance ray tracing graphical mode. And the two things that I can say about it right now, obviously I'm only played 10 minutes, but number one, it looks beautiful. Like we've been seeing all the screenshots and trailers and everything looks fantastic, looks incredible. The second thing I can say about it right now is the DualSense controller does so much for that game.
Interesting.
The adaptive triggers when you shoot stuff feels awesome. The haptic feedback is awesome. And as someone who played the 2016 remake of Ratchet and Clank, that game was fine, but there were times where it was kind of like mindless fun. Like it got kind of boring, at least in my opinion. And I think the controller is a real
Like livens it up.
yeah, really it livens it up. It brings a lot to it. So anyway, that's what I can say about it right now, but hopefully I'll have more to say next week. So with that, let's jump into the news here, Travis. We've got a lot to get through here because of E3 things going on and Summer Game Fest. So for context, what we are going to do is this episode will cover everything through Friday, June the 11th is what this episode will cover. Everything after that, so Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I think there's even something Thursday maybe, we'll get on next week's show because we're not going to skip an episode. So it is what it is. So here we go. And one other thing, housekeeping note is there was an Axios interview with Jim Ryan that came out today, the president and CEO of Sony Interactive Entertainment. I read through it. I read some of the notes on Twitter. It's not here because, in my opinion, there's really nothing newsworthy from that interview. It's all stuff that we've pretty much heard before that he reiterated or slightly elaborated on. So there's really nothing newsworthy. Biggest thing is he apologized for saying that old games don't matter and nobody wanted to play Gran Turismo 2 or 4 or whatever the hell he said.
He's not wrong, so whatever.
Yeah. So anyway, with that said, let's jump into the first news item here. I'm calling it Wednesday. So on Wednesday, Travis, Electronic Arts finally unveiled the new iteration of Battlefield, which is set in the near future and is titled Battlefield 2042. The game is a multiplayer only title that will come to both PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5 with a few key differences between the two. On PS5, players will take part in 128 player matches with much larger maps and enhanced graphical fidelity, of course, while players on PS4 will get smaller versions of the maps for 64 player matches. At launch, the game will feature 7 maps, dynamic weather and storms, classes with specialties and traits, robotic dogs, wingsuits, and enhanced terrain deformation. The game will also include content seasons and battle passes similar to Call of Duty, and beta tests are planned for later this year as well. We also learned from post-reveal interviews that the game will allow players to play against the AI instead of real players, and it may also be getting some type of free-to-play component, as well as cross-platform play. Battlefield 2042 will launch on October the 22nd, while players who pre-order the Gold or Ultimate Edition of the game can play a week early on October the 15th. So, what do you think of what you saw?
Well, I mean, it looks like a real ripper, huh?
It's a ripper time, mate. Oh, it's going to be a fucking ripper.
I mean, it was it. That's how you do a game trailer. That was a game trailer. That's what we wanted. I got excited that I talked to you about this. We saw the guy jump out of the jet and RPG guy jump back in. Like we've seen versions of that all over the internet. On Battlefield 4 and even 3, I think. And then of course on Battlefield 1, we had all kinds of weird stuff where guys would jump out of like the old planes and like snipe dudes and then jump back on.
Yep.
I'm stoked to play it. Everything looks cool. The robotic dogs are exactly what I'm afraid of with the Boston Dynamic dogs.
Yeah,
So
that's
that
what
was
that is.
great. I thought the classes were interesting. The what differentiates the classes now is your specialty. It's you can use any gun on any class. I could snipe as the assault guy if I want, if I like that
Right.
specialty better. I thought that was really interesting. I suppose that's more realistic to what kind of you can experience out in the wild, so to speak, in the actual
Mhm.
military. I'm assuming. I think that's an interesting touch, and I saw some people kind of push back against that. They're like, "Well, you're going to get all these people that are only sniping." It's like, well, I mean, that would happen anyway. They would just all be snipers instead of assault with a sniper. Like
Right.
that doesn't change anything at
No.
all, as far as I'm concerned.
No.
But all of the maps that we saw look interesting.
Mhm.
What was that one map that we saw that is the biggest map in the world?
Oh. Oh, shit. I can't remember the name of it now, but I know it's bigger than the PUBG map and the
Right.
original Fortnite map.
Which is asinine. And I suppose with
Mhm.
130 players, it's probably they're going to be able to direct the battle based off of the
Mhm.
whatever we need to capture or whatever the objective is. It's not like you're playing team death on a a map that big with team death would be horrible. I feel like
Oh, yeah.
I'm excited for it. Like I told you though, I'm not going to pre-order it until I play the beta. So
Yes, we're gonna get to that. So I am in love already.
you are
I cannot wait. I was already stoked. I mean, beforehand. Let's be honest. But
right.
after seeing the trailer, oh, I'm so stoked. And then we're going to get to see gameplay on Sunday
Hmm.
at the
Hmm.
Microsoft conference, the gameplay reveal, which is cool. Can't wait for that. And then they're going to show even more on July the 22nd at the EA Play event that they're doing. Dude, this is the game. This is the game that we've been wanting. I mean, I cannot wait. Everything I just read just turns me on. Turns me
Yeah.
on so much.
It's stuff we've asked for too, like dynamic weather
Yeah.
and storms and you know terrain deformation. That was all stuff we've all wanted more of.
Yes. So to wrap up here about Battlefield, I just so the audience knows, on the record, I pre-ordered immediately after the trailer. I pre-ordered the gold edition. Okay. I'm all in. That means I get to play the game on October the 15th and I get all of the year one shit, whatever. So anyway, Travis comes back from his vacation
Mhm.
and we're talking about it. And he tells me, I tell him that myself and our friend John, we've both already pre ordered the gold edition. We're going to be playing on October the 15th. And I said, "Are you going to pre order?" And he tells me that he's going to wait to play the beta before he pre orders, which there's nothing wrong with that. That's a totally reasonable thing.
Is it though? Because it doesn't sound like it.
It's a totally reasonable thing. I understand that. But here's where it deviates for you, my friend, and for us. I then you said that to me, and I then asked you this question. I said, "Let me ask you this." I said, "What is the percent chance that you do not play this new Battlefield game when it releases?" You looked at me and you said 0%. I said, "Then what the fuck are we talking about?" and
I just gotta
you,
make sure. I gotta make sure.
I mean, you're a man of your convictions. I'll give you that. That's fine. You want to make sure maybe it's dog shit, but I mean, whatever. I mean, it's not like we haven't enjoyed the last like 5 Battlefield games, but it could be dog shit. So
Yeah,
anyway, I
yeah,
just
you're right.
had to break your balls a little bit. You do you, but don't worry. John and I are there no matter what you decide. If you want to play a week after us, we'll be there. Just I don't want to hear any shit when you got to play a tutorial.
I will turn it off. Hey,
Oh,
listen, I
man.
have until October 14th to buy it and play it on the 15th. So,
Christ almighty. Well, I tell you what, you're probably not going to be buying shit because you owe eBay $52.
yeah, that's my game. I'll,
Yeah.
I'll I'll tell you though, when I watched the trailer, the first thing I thought after this was, did somebody else make Battlefield 5? Like, it just seemed like it seems like it's so much. It just seemed like it was such a misstep
Yeah.
in their lineage. And that being said, it's actually not that bad when you play right now. It's actually pretty fun.
Yeah. They've improved it a lot. So, anyway, I can't wait. Looking forward to that greatly. Number 2, Travis, let's move on to Thursday here. On Thursday, Mr. Jeff Keighley hosted his Summer Game Fest.
Mr. Geoff.
Yeah, Kickoff Live, whatever it was called, Summer Game Fest. And there's no real good way to do this here, so I just listed all of the relevant PlayStation information that we learned here. And I'm just going to rifle through it, and then we can discuss anything at the end. For starters, we saw at the very top of the show the much rumored and now confirmed Wonderlands, the Borderlands spin-off game that includes spellcasting and character customization, and it is supposed to be launching sometime in early 2022. We then saw Death Stranding Director's Cut, which was announced for PS5 by Mr. Hideo Kojima, and it was said
Familiar.
and it was said to be coming soon on the splash screen at the end. And Jeff Keighley maybe slipped this on accident, but he made a comment that the full reveal was, quote, only weeks away, end quote. So that's interesting. Then we saw Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War and Warzone. We learned that Season 4 launches on June the 17th. We then saw the much beloved Shuhei Yoshida, the head of PlayStation Indies, and Mr. Shu revealed that a Salt and Sanctuary sequel called Salt and
Mr.
Sacrifice.
Shu.
Mr. Shu.
Are you boys? You don't call him Shuhei?
We're boys. He's Shu. So he shooed all of us.
He'll shoo us away.
Shu revealed that a sequel to Salt and Sanctuary called Salt and Sacrifice will be coming to PS4 and PS5 in 2022, and it will include online multiplayer. He also shared a new trailer with gameplay for Solar Ash, which will release later this year. We then got to see 2 Point Campus, which was announced and confirmed after being leaked by the Microsoft Store, and it will be releasing sometime in 2022. Up next, we saw a story trailer for the next game in the Dark Pictures anthology called House of Ashes. It will launch on October the 22nd for PS4 and PS5. We then saw a new trailer for JRPG Tales of Arise, followed by a new gameplay trailer for roguelite tower defense dungeon crawler Endless Dungeon, which you hate. we then got the announcement. This is a big one, actually. We then got an announcement of a new development studio called Deviation Games, which was announced by the studio's co-founders who are former directors on Call of Duty Black Ops. They also revealed a development partnership with Sony and PlayStation to produce their very first game, which is a brand new, quote-unquote, groundbreaking IP. And then later on the PlayStation blog, the studio revealed that they already have over 100 employees working on the project. We then got an announcement, I should say, that a beta for co-op zombie first-person shooter Back for Blood will be coming on August the 5th. And then hack and slash co-op Viking survival game Tribes of Midgard will launch on PS4 and PS5 on July 27th, we learned. And then finally, from Summer Game Fest, to close out the show, the much beloved by everyone but me, it seems, Elden Ring, the next game from Software. We got a gameplay trailer of that to finish out the show, and we learned that it launches on January 21st of 2022 on both PS4 and PS5. What do you make of any of this? You got anything that sticks out?
Yeah, I'll jump in with a couple of things I'm the most excited about. To me, the most exciting bit of news here was Deviation Games. I like the idea that we got these former directors from COD, and they already have 100 people working on this new IP. I think we can assume it's some sort of shooter. Obviously, would be my guess.
Yeah.
That's exciting because it's there's a huge unknown at the end, right? It's like we got this talent, we got these guys that have done some really cool stuff before. That's exciting to me. Two Point Campus. We talked a little bit about this before.
Mm-hmm.
I was excited to just see a little bit of what the world looked like. There's all kinds of stuff going on in that trailer. I mean, you've got to like, you could probably spend 15 minutes trying to figure out everything you saw, but it looks outrageous. There's all, I mean, just go watch it. I can't do it justice trying to describe what I saw, other than it looks like a perfect 2 point game. So I'm sure it'll be fun.
Yes.
And the second most likely game I'm likely to play, right behind that one, is this Back for Blood
Mm-hmm.
co-op zombie game. It looks awesome. The monsters look really cool. They remind me of, like, some of the Dead Nation monsters we saw, and some of the monsters we saw in what was the zombie game we were just playing, with the helmet?
Zombie Army 4?
Yeah, that one. So it
Mhm.
reminded me of some of the, like, just the crazy teeth and the, deformed muscles and shit. Like, I don't know.
Right.
I thought it looked really interesting, so I'm excited for that demo. Other than that, my surprise game, that by surprise I mean what surprised me that I found mildly interesting, was the Viking survival game.
Yeah, that game was cool.
Yeah, it has like that top down view where
Mhm.
I'm doing so. I'm old, so I'm forgetting
Isometric?
all these games. Thank you.
Yeah.
Isometric view,
That
which we like.
very Dead Nation-y, yeah.
Yeah. So we had that in Dead Nation. We had it on the other game where John blew our hostage's head off at the very end
Helldivers,
before
yeah.
Helldivers. Yeah. So it has all that to it. I love Viking lore. Viking lore is really interesting. It's
Mhm.
fun. It's probably my second favorite lore behind the Greeks, but that's cool. Anyway, so yeah, I'm excited about those things. I think they're cool. I think they're interesting. And just to get this out here, House of Asses and Solar Ass, not interested in. And I'm not sure if I'd rather see an ass in the sun or a house full of asses. I guess it depends on
Mhm.
the ass.
It does absolutely depend on the ass.
Hit me with why this Death Stranding thing is so. Why are people so excited about this on the internet?
Yeah, I think it's a couple of things. First of all, it's because it's a PS5 upgrade of the original game,
Mhm.
and, I mean, I am interested in it. It does excite me a little bit to see it with, a graphical upgrade, a game that already looked very good, to see what the next step is. And then I think the other really interesting thing about it is to see if it will take advantage of the adaptive triggers and haptic feedback, because that game honestly is perfect for the DualSense controller. So I think
I
people are
can see
excited
that.
about the possibility of that. And the other thing that really kind of had people in a fever pitch was the fact that he teased or put like I mean, not,
Oh, yeah.
it was more than an Easter egg, but
That's not an Easter egg. Yeah, it's beyond that.
yeah, he had Norman Reedus and his magical fetus pull the box off the shelf and dump the oranges out on the floor. And then he acted like he was going to get under the box, but he jumped in it and then like put it back on the shelf. So that's a very obvious Metal Gear Solid, Easter egg. And I think, and then like he made that trailer in a way with like the music and the cinematography and everything that for the very beginning there, people were like, does this have something to do with Metal Gear somehow? You know what I mean? So
Right.
that's why people were kind of, and it looks like there's going to be some type of DLC that comes with it, because those enemies or whatever that I
A little
recall
different.
were not in we're not in the original game. So I think people were excited for that reason too, maybe more content as well. So I think we're going to find out in a couple of weeks. It sounds like there's been a rumor that Sony is going to hold a state of play event or something like that at the end of the month, potentially June the 28th. And I think Mr. Jeff Keighley accidentally let that slip. So I think we're going to find out some more info in a couple weeks. The other thing that was a big one that really excited me, same as you, is the Deviation Games announcement that Sony now has a third contract with a second party contract, if you will, with a new game studio on top of Haven
Mhm.
Studio, which is the Jade Raymond outfit, and then that Firewalk Studio that's making that multiplayer game. So now we have three of these type of deals, and that's very exciting to have
Mhm.
three new exclusive PlayStation games in the works. So it's a big one. Excited to see what they do. And like you said, there's a good pedigree there with those guys. Let's see if anything. 2 Point Campus. That also, I love that. So I'll definitely keep my eye out on that. And then
You already pre-ordered it.
haven't pre-ordered it yet. And then the last thing I guess I'll say, because Elden Ring is a big one. Objectively, it's a big one, but I got to tell you guys, I
Mm,
don't get it. I mean, those games are
right.
not for me to begin with. Those Dark Souls games and whatnot. But I'm going to tell you, it looks to me as an outsider, it looked just like every other Dark Souls game. But I'm glad you guys are excited for it.
You know,
Not gonna shit on it.
Piggyback off of what you said there. What I thought was interesting is so we watch all the stuff, all the things, we see it all, and you put out the tweet like, "Hey, Elden Ring, I get it, but it's not really hitting it for me." And
Yeah.
people like there was some people like agreed. And the more
Yeah.
I read about it online, it seemed like there's definitely a line there. There's a line of people
Mm.
who are like, it'd be like me, like if Polyphony put out anything other than Gran Turismo, I'd be like, sure, I'll give it a shot. And
Hmm.
there'd be people that would be like, no, you make the fucking racing game, and that's it, right? And
I
that
run the
felt,
races.
yeah. I'm Billy Kimba. Do you guys have Netflix in Australia? Anyway, so point being, it does seem like surprisingly to me that there is some division there, at least
Hmm.
on social media, which I did not expect. I assumed that when this trailer hit at the end, that people were all going to love it, and that wasn't the case.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's I wouldn't call it a thin line. I'd say it's a very hard, thick line in the sand, and you either love it or or you don't get it. And I'm in the camp that does not get it. All right, number 3, Travis, let's move on to Friday. Today, we got the Coke Media Showcase, and they announced that they have a new publishing label called Prime Matter, which has 12 games in the development pipeline, including the following that are relevant to PlayStation. First was co-op bank heist game Payday 3.
Yes, sir.
That's right, which will launch in 2023.
Oh, fuck it. I'll forget it.
Right. Also, strategy game King's Bounty 2, which launches on August the 24th, as well as third-person action RPG The Last Arikru. I don't know, which launches in 2022. Third-person shooter Gungrave Gore, which releases sometime next year. Action horror game The Chant, which is slated for a second quarter 2022 release. Futuristic cybernetic first-person shooter Final Form, which will release sometime in the future. Dark Souls inspired sci fi thriller RPG Dolmen, which will release sometime in 2022. Alice in Wonderland meets Alien Mashup, dark
Oh
sci
God.
fi action adventure game Scars Above, which will release next year sometime. And then finally, the last PlayStation relevant announcement was that Painkiller is making a comeback under the new publishing label, but no other details were given. So it's just a tease. But do you have anything to say about any of this?
Well, obviously, I'm pumped for Payday 3. I loved
Mhm.
the first ones. So the first ones are so janky, but I still enjoy them. They were so fucking hard,
Yes.
but they're fun though. It was a blast trying to get into the safes and getting everybody down. And what I'm really excited about is I hope that on the PS5 I can yell into the mic and yell at people to get down on the ground. I just want to
Oh,
be able to
wow.
yell or yell into the controller or whatever.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
what was that thing you said? Telekinetic prophetic dynamite or something like that. It sounds awful, but I love the name. And the second one you mentioned about the King's Ransom.
King's Bounty 2.
Yeah, King's Bounty 2. I thought that was interesting.
Mhm.
All things considered on that list, the top two are the ones that really got my interest out of the rest.
Hmm. Well, I of course am also excited for Payday 3. We'll see what that shapes up to look like. And then the only other one that looked moderately interesting to me was actually the Scars Above game. They showed gameplay of that, and it looked like Returnal mixed with Skyrim is basically
It's
the best
interesting.
way I can describe it. Anyway, then after the Coke Media Showcase, we also got the IGN Expo, where they revealed or announced several PlayStation related games as well. The first being Doki Doki Literature Club Plus, which Travis is stoked about. It was
Can't
announced.
wait.
It is an expanded edition of the visual novel cult classic, and it will come to PlayStation on June the 30th.
Yeah, I mean, well, we already knew it was expansion of that. I mean, the books are awesome.
We then got to see World War Z Aftermath, which is an enhanced upgrade of the co op zombie shooter that includes all DLC, but also adds new characters, a new melee system, new zombies, and a new first person mode. And it also gets a next gen graphical upgrade, which includes 4K at 60 frames per second on PS5 sometime later this year. We then saw Bramble the Mountain King, which is a side-scrolling horror platformer with David or Davis, as I have here, versus Goliath-style boss battles and Nordic and fairy tale inspired environments that is coming at some point in the future. That damn Davis versus Goliath.
You gotta watch him. He didn't use a slingshot; he used something else.
Then we saw Blacktail, which is a first-person action-adventure game about a woman cast out of her village for witchcraft and is releasing at an unknown point in the future. I almost cast my wife out of my house last night for witchcraft.
What was she witchcrafting?
Just
Why not? You can't
PMS.
tell me.
She was witchcrafting some PMS. I can tell you that
Oh,
much.
I thought maybe she had some kids in a cage and she had like a big stew going. She was
No,
singing nursery rhymes. I don't know.
no, she was conjuring up some PMS.
That's good.
Oh,
You got to watch that.
she's breaking my balls. All right, hardcore action RPG Mortal Shell will be getting a DLC expansion called The Virtuous Cycle. And then Big Rumble Boxing Creed Champions is a new boxing game in the Creed franchise coming to PlayStation later this year. We then saw The Forgotten City, which is that murder mystery game that takes place in ancient Rome, if you'll remember, Travis.
Oh, yeah.
And it's based on a popular Skyrim mod, which I did not know and is
That's
incredible.
interesting.
And it will release on PlayStation very soon, on July the 28th. Also, Metroidvania game Unbound Worlds Apart was announced, and it will release on July 28th as well. And then popular free-to-play PC first-person shooter Splitgate was announced to be coming to PS4 and PS5 on July 27th. And then beyond that, there were a ton of trailers, actually, for other games, including Chernobylite, 2 Point Campus, which featured actual gameplay, Sifu, that martial arts kung fu fighting game, and then Steel Rising, which, if you'll remember, Travis, is the game from Spider Studio, which is the French Revolution robot mechanical industrial weird game. So
That looks interesting.
Yeah, they did a quick little story trailer for that. We learned a little bit more about what that's about. So anyway, is there anything from this list that stands out to you?
You played World War Z with Jacob, right? Or was that with John?
Me and you played it a little bit, I believe.
Oh, right. That was the thing with the train, right?
Correct.
That train level with the yeah. Okay. That game is fun. I think that'll be interesting if they put it out. I don't know if it'll be worth whatever they're gonna charge me for it, but it looks interesting.
Right.
The French Revolution game with all the weird stuff, that's something that we've been looking at for like, I don't know, it feels like 2 years. I know it's not been that long, but it's
Right.
something that's been on my radar for a while. So it's nice to see that's still a thing. Remember the game Stray? What happened to that game?
It's still there. It's supposedly going to be shown at the end of July.
Okay. I was just thinking, like, I feel like I've heard more about this weird French Revolution alternate universe than I have about this cat.
Well, for me, I am also interested in the World War Z game. That's probably the one that stands out the most to me because I don't know if you remember me telling you this, but a few months back I re-downloaded World War Z because I think it's on PlayStation Now or something. Maybe I don't remember, but I re-downloaded it and to try it out. It was in the mood for something like that, and it's at 30 frames per second, and it is unplayable at 30 frames per second. I couldn't do it. It was giving me a headache. So the fact that it's going to get a next gen upgrade is super interesting. And then they're going to add that first person mode. So that stands out to me. And then, let's see here. There's something else. I think it was just really those last four that I mentioned. Chernobylite, which I have on my list to keep an eye on. 2 Point Campus, obviously. Sifu, Still Rising. So those were all interesting as well. And some of those had gameplay in them. So check those out if you guys are interested. Number 4, a string of new job listings at Naughty Dog seem to indicate that their multiplayer project for The Last of Us has grown significantly in scale, Travis. Rather than simply being an add-on mode for The Last of Us Part 2, it now appears that it will be a standalone multiplayer title. As website Push Square reported, the new listings also state that the goal of the project is to, quote, bring the same level of ambition and quality of our signature story-driven games, end quote. What do you think about a standalone Last of Us multiplayer title?
I think this is kind of interesting. I think if we see a single player story driven game that's really popular and really successful, I think that this is something we could see more of. This could be a trend. And if it goes well, it could turn into something that's a standard, really. Like the Ghost of Tsushima multiplayer
Right.
It was a lot of fun, but that might have actually worked better as a standalone, even if it was a free to play standalone, and
Hmm.
you could buy buy whatever
By
cosmetic
characters
shit.
or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, buy characters. Speaking of that, there are people are doing a meetup on Ghost of Tsushima online. There is like a revival meetup thing. You can check that
Okay.
out on Reddit if you're interested. All the details are on there. So
Interesting.
kind of like you and your people playing Killzone the other night
Yeah, you got to
on
do it.
on the Vita. I have to
Uh huh.
re-download it. You're asking a lot from me,
Right.
making me click two things. Anyway, but no, I think this is cool. I like the idea of it because it lets your team focus on the single player, make sure it matches, as they say, the level of ambition and the quality of our signature story driven games.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, if you want to roll it over into something fun, like multiplayer should be fun to me. Something that I think Uncharted actually does very well. It is, it's fun to play that online, and it's a different type of fun, like
Right.
Battlefield or Call of Duty. That's a different type of gunplay battling fun. I feel like that, maybe is The Last of Us fall more into the Uncharted world, or does it fall more into like, God, I'm dying on the inside? What is that game that we play? Hunt Showdown. Is it more like
Oh,
that?
no, it's probably closer to Uncharted. A
Right. So
little
to
bit
me,
slower.
yeah, yeah, and like it could be, you know, I know Uncharted's whimsical. That may not be a great. That's not what I mean by it's fun. It's just the gameplay feels more accessible, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. Because
Yeah.
Battlefield and Call of Duty feel like they involve some sort of skill,
Mm-hmm.
and I never felt like that with even Chivalry. I don't. That's probably one of the reasons I like Chivalry so much. Is like I could probably not play that for 4 or 5 days, and I could pop it on and I could do well within a couple of matches.
Right.
I like the idea of that, having that sort of accessibility with a really, really fun single player typical game, but now we can play it in another way but still be in the same world. I like all of it.
Yeah. I think that the fact that they are hiring more people and it seems to be multiplayer specific definitely indicates that the game has become a thing of its own, that it's
Hmm.
no longer an add on or a mode. Not to say that they won't still add it to The Last of Us Part 2 as an update for free, maybe, or something like that, but it seems increasingly unlikely. It seems more likely that it's going to be like a $30 or $40 release, and it's just
Right.
going to be called like The Last of Us Factions or something like that. And it can be something that they can update, have seasons, have years of content, whatever. I think that's the way we're heading, and to be honest, that's totally cool with me. I
Right.
think
Right.
that I think that's totally cool. That and they may be onto something there where they can just focus on making the single player game, and then later on, we have these bones for a multiplayer game,
Right.
and we want to make it big. We want to make it its own thing, and so that's what we're gonna do. So that's cool with me. We'll see what happens with it. Maybe we'll see more in a couple weeks, Travis. Number five, PlayStation released May's top downloaded games on the PlayStation Store, and they are as follows. On PlayStation 5, the number one most downloaded game was Resident Evil Village, followed by Returnal, MLB The Show 21, Spider Man Miles Morales, NBA 2K21, Subnautica Below Zero, Mortal Kombat 11, It Takes Two, FIFA 21, Hood Outlaws and Legends, Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War, Assassin's Creed Valhalla, Demon Souls, Rainbow Six Siege, Outriders, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2, Madden 21, Sackboy A Big Adventure, Judgment, and Immortals Phoenix Rising. On PS4, the number one most downloaded game was Rust, Console Edition, Resident Evil Village, Mass Effect Legendary Edition, GTA 5, MLB The Show 21, NBA 2K21, Mortal Kombat 11, Biomutant, Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War, Minecraft, Knockout City, Mortal Kombat 10, Need for Speed Heat, Subnautica Below Zero, UFC 4, The Forest, there it is
Hey.
again, Call of Duty Modern Warfare, It Takes Two, Gang Beasts, and Red Dead Redemption 2, my beloved Red Dead Redemption 2 at number 20 on PS4. Over on PSVR, number one most downloaded game was Beat Saber, followed by Vader Immortal, Job Simulator, Super Hot VR, Creed Rise to Glory, Gun Club VR, Swordsman VR, or Swordsman VR, Doom 3 VR Edition, Gorn, and Surgeon Simulator Experience reality. What the fuck? On the free
You're doing the exact opposite, buddy.
on the free to play list, the top downloaded game was Call of Duty Warzone. No surprise there, followed by Fortnite, Rocket League, Genshin Impact, Apex Legends, Destiny 2, Brawlhalla, Rec Room, Rogue Company, and Warframe at number 10. All right. So, does anything on any of these lists stand out? Any thoughts?
Aside from the oxymoron of Surgeon Simulator experience reality,
Uh-huh.
everything on the free to play list screams a child to me. Like it's just children, except for like Genshin Impact. Everything else is like we've all already played and paid for Destiny.
Yeah.
We've all been through Brawlhalla and Warframe. We've all been through Apex Legends before. We've all tried Rocket League at this point. So
Mhm.
that just screams children to me. But anywho,
Mhm.
jumping up here to the PS5, I think that the most obvious one, aside from Resident Evil Village, I mean, that's no surprise that that's number one. Wouldn't surprise me if it's number one next month too. But Returnal at 2, showing
Yeah.
a little bit of staying power. That's really good for those guys,
Yeah, it's big.
and that's crazy. Not crazy to me. I just thought it would fall more than that. To be honest, it's ahead of
Mhm.
MLB The Show and 2K and Spider Man. Like those three are always up there. So you
Mhm.
love to see that. Is Hood Outlaws and Legends at 10? Is that good for them?
For it, yeah, probably.
So, so that's another check mark for them. Good for those guys. And you know, we're just never going to see the end of an Assassin's Creed on this list. I think is what we need to come to
Correct.
the just come to the reality of that. There's always going to be an Assassin's Creed and probably Rainbow Six on this list.
Correct. That's correct. Couple thoughts from my end here. I agree with you. Returnal at number 2 is huge on PS5 for the month of May. I'll be interested to see where it slots in June when it goes head to head with Ratchet and Clank, which inevitably I would believe would be number 1. But I'll be interested to see where Returnal falls after that. It stays in the top 5. That's a really good sign for it. And then a couple of the other things that stood out to me were the fact that Rust Console Edition was the number one game on PS4. And then
Right.
what stood out even more to me is that Biomutant, which is only a PS4 game, mind you, okay? But it is
Mhm.
backwards compatible. But when you buy it, it's a PS4 game. It's at number 8 on the list for the month. That's pretty low for that game that was somewhat, highly anticipated, but I know it's gotten some bad reviews. But and then of course the Forest showing back up there. And then the last thing I'd say really is the free to play game list. If you look at that, like if you're trying to make a free to play game, like look at
Yeah.
that list. Like
Yeah.
you're not going to dethrone any of the games on that list. Like you got to
That's
be
a lot.
you got to be a heavy hitter to knock any of those games off that list. So good
Yeah.
luck.
I also thought it was interesting that Knockout City on PS4 is at 11 and it's only on PS4.
True.
I thought that was an odd thing. Does that speak more to the market of people who have a PS5? Is it more
I don't know.
are more people from 20 to 40 have a PS5, or you know
The
what I
what?
mean? Like that's something I wondered about. Especially like Gang Beast on there too. Like
Yeah. Oh,
that's,
that's
that's
true.
odd. That's odd.
Yeah. The weird thing is that we know that Knockout City, they announced that they had 5 million players. You know what I mean?
Right.
I mean, of course, that's across all consoles, but anyway. Number 6, Travis, we also have a bunch of news nuggets like we always do, and feel free to jump in here like you always do. First nugget, we received new gameplay footage for upcoming PlayStation exclusive Kena Bridge of Spirits on Friday, courtesy of the Tribeca Games Festival, and that game looks stunning. Looks very good. It's really the first like kind of unfiltered gameplay that we got to see today. That wasn't like part of like a sizzle trailer, It was like literally like you could see the HUD and everything, and that
Was it unabridged?
is unabridged. That I'm interested in that game more so now. So we'll see about that one. Looks great though. Also, former IGN writer and Sacred Symbols creator and host Colin Moriarty stated on his recent podcast that Sony declined a pitch for Resistance 4 because thematically it was too similar to The Last of Us, and they were afraid of having a post-apocalyptic game problem, Travis.
Well, first of all, that's 90% of the games, I feel like, anyway.
Yes.
But also don't go into that meeting with The Last of Us. I mean, it's not gonna be as good as The Last of Us, and kudos to
Yeah.
Sony for telling them to fuck off.
Yeah, I never played in the Resistance games. Like, I started to play them, but never finished them. I will say this: I do wish that they would like remaster the trilogy and bring it to PS5 because I want to play them again. I want to give them a fair shake, but
Mhm.
doesn't sound like a Resistance sequel is coming anytime soon because they have The Last of Us still, and they just killed Days Gone, so they're gonna go back to the well and make another post-apocalyptic shooter. I don't know. Anyway, Ratchet and Clank Travis launched this week and currently sits at an 89 on Metacritic, the mark of a critical hit. It was also reported that the game was developed in a crunch-free environment, for God's sake, with one employee confirming they worked 40-hour weeks only, and actually multiple employees have confirmed that at this point.
What? Can we get a 90? Just I feel like people just put it at 89 just to be an asshole. Like
I know, right? 89, Returnal at 86. Like, 89 is super close. That's like 80 something reviews on that game. That's crazy.
right, it's crazy.
Also, horror game The Persistence got its PS5 upgrade today on June the 11th, featuring 4K at 60 frames per second and 4K at 30 frames per second in different modes, as well as support for haptic feedback. Website Video Games Chronicle reported that Call of Duty 2021 will not be present at E3 and will instead be revealed in game in Call of Duty Warzone later this summer. The game is on track to launch this November on last gen and current gen consoles. A new Ubisoft multiplayer PvP title codenamed Battlecat has leaked online. The game is a first person shooter that combines the Splinter Cell, Ghost Recon, and Division games, or universes, I should say, probably, into a single Tom Clancy multiplayer title. It is not expected to be shown at Ubisoft's event on June the 12th and could perhaps be one of the high quality free to play games that Ubisoft is making. This is interesting.
I don't even know what the fuck that means. You're combining 3 games that don't even belong
Yeah,
in the same place to me. I don't I don't know what you're talking about.
I don't know. I have no idea how they could pull that one off or how that works. Sounds like a battle royale game, which I think is a mistake.
Well, yeah, in the Division stuff, I would assume would be all the weapon customization and the
Yeah.
body armor and whatever. That's the easiest thing to take from that.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Maybe we'll see. Maybe it'll be super cool. I don't know. Also, website Push Square reported that current Xbox Series X and S exclusive The Medium from developer Bloober Team has been rated for PS5 by the ESRB, so release is imminent there. So
Yeah,
Xbox Series X and S will have 0 exclusive games to the console when that happens.
well,
Ubisoft's Prince of Persia: Sands of Time remake will not appear at the Ubi Forward event on June 12th, and the game will now release sometime in 2022. I know you're disappointed in that one, Travis.
you can release it in my asshole. It doesn't matter. I still wouldn't play it.
Agreed. Also on the Ubisoft front, Rainbow Six Quarantine is now titled Rainbow Six Extraction,
That's
which
the
is
5th name change.
that is a travesty. I mean, I get why they changed it, but they were considering Rainbow Six Parasite. That's infinitely better than
Oh,
Rainbow
all
Six Extraction.
Extraction's the worst of the 3.
Absolutely. They're so bad at naming their games. Immortals, Phoenix Rising, Rainbow Six Extraction. Like, God bless, guys. Fucking hire somebody to do that
Yeah,
shit. I don't
they got
know.
they got a committee in there, and that's what they came up with.
Right. Also in Ubisoft news, you can expect an update on what's next for Assassin's Creed Valhalla at the Ubi Forward event on Sunday, June 12th. A next-gen version of Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order released on Friday, featuring new fidelity and performance modes, higher res textures and assets, and improved loading times. PS4 owners of the game can get a free upgrade, even if you own a physical copy but got a digital PS5. You'll just need to contact EA support to get a download code. That's
That's
new.
sweet.
Yeah, that's new and interesting. I've never seen a publisher do that yet.
Is that gonna be on the download list next month?
You never know. Probably. The PS5 version of F1 2021 will have 2 graphical modes, Travis. Graphics mode, which will run at 4K at 60 frames per second, and performance mode, which runs at a blistering 1440p at 120 frames per second.
Yeah, gonna need that when I blast into the fucking wall.
Uh-huh. A new set of trophies has been added to Minecraft on PS4 alongside the new Caves and Cliffs Part 1 update. Okay. Upcoming JRPG Tales of Arise will clock in at just over 37 gigabytes on the PS5 when it launches in September. Indie publisher Annapurna Interactive will host a live event on July 29th to show off upcoming games like Stray, there you go, and Solar Ash, and also to announce a few new games as well.
Oh, I'll be damned.
Mm-hmm. Website PlayStation Lifestyle reported that Warner Brothers Gaming will only show Back for Blood during its E3 presentation on Sunday, so why bother? Journey-inspired atmospheric adventure game Omno, whatever, will release sometime this summer for PS4.
What do you mean? Journey is in moving or the band?
No. So Journey, I forget. So you are a filthy casual. So Journey is a very well-regarded indie game that
This is familiar.
that came to consoles, and it's like you start the game and you're traveling across the desert and all these different kind of like biomes, and at the end of it, well, I don't want to spoil it for anybody, but it's a very like kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? It's a very existential game. Let's put it that way.
Okay,
That's
so I need more of that. I need more of an existential crisis than I already have.
Yes.
Wonderful. I put on jeans this afternoon with my shirt off, and I felt like Brad Pitt and Thelma and Louise.
And sure it wasn't Fight Club?
Oh, I don't know, maybe. You know what? It all blends together.
Also, VR boxing game Creed Rise to Glory will get a non-VR sequel on PS4 sometime later this year called Big Rumble Boxing Creed Champions. We actually just talked about that, so fuck me. Website PlayStation Universe reported that the Upload VR showcase will take place on June 12th, featuring some PSVR titles.
It's more than Warner Brothers will show us.
Absolutely. Ubisoft will not show The Division Heartland or updates on The Division 2 on June the 12th at their Ubi Forward event.
Why bother?
Yeah, why bother? So we're going to go from Ubi Hard to Ubisoft.
Definitely be soft.
Far Cry 6 includes segments of third-person gameplay and will also feature some sort of in-game content following the completion of the story.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm. Bloomberg's Jason Schreier claimed on his latest podcast that Ubisoft's Beyond Good and Evil 2 is still very, very early in development. All kinds of Ubisoft news. Schreier also stated that Square Enix's upcoming Guardians of the Galaxy game will not be a live service game, but it will be revealed at their showcase. I think that one's on Sunday or Monday.
But Battlefield's supposed to be a live service game.
It is. You don't have to worry about it. You're not going to buy it. Netflix is making an animated Splinter Cell show with the creator of John Wick writing the show. Just make a game. Make a game.
Yeah, are they trying to branch this off into movies and make more money? Because it's not going to work. God.
I don't know. What are they doing with this franchise? They're making like a fucking pop figures and amiibos and Netflix shows. Just make a game.
What's an amiibo? Like a single-celled organism?
It's something that bullshit you do with Nintendo. You like get these little figurines. And like,
just fuck off Nintendo. All Nintendo is Mario and fucking Sonic is Sega. Like that's all they can do. So it irritates me so much. They make fucking Paperboy. What is So our buddy John said they made like $30 million off of Splinter Cell and they won't make a new game.
They've sold 30 million copies of that game.
Oh, I'm sorry. So whatever 30 times 60 is, they made $180 million or something like that.
Yeah, that's correct.
Go fuck yourself. Seriously, what is a good video game movie or TV show? Good. I mean, like great. Like not like The Witcher's good. I mean, like great. Is there an obvious one I'm not thinking of?
No, we won't have one until next year when The Last of Us comes out.
Okay, I legitimately cannot think of one. Like every video game that was a video game first. I'm not talking about movie then game.
Yeah, supposedly
it all sucks.
Supposedly the Castlevania animated series on Netflix is like excellent. Supposedly it's very good. So, but I haven't watched it, so I can't attest. But supposedly it's very, very good.
All right. I'll buy it.
Yeah. The rumor mill says that the reason why Ubisoft has not made a Splinter Cell game is because they don't know how to turn that into. They don't know how to monetize it. Like they don't know how to make it. They don't know how to make it where it's either a live service or they can sell fucking microtransactions, or they don't know how to do that. Which that doesn't even make sense to me because like just treat it like Watch Dogs or Assassin's Creed. Just make DLC for it, like, and just have it whatever. Have a year pass and you get 2 major DLCs. What does that mean? I don't understand, dude. I'm so confused. Anyway, here we go. Electronic Arts announced a major data breach that resulted in hackers stealing the source code for both FIFA 21 and their Frostbite engine.
Classic.
Christ. Just let them have the company at this point. Website Gematsu reported that action adventure game Trifox will launch on PS4 and PS5 in the first quarter of next year. 3D high speed character action game Ultra Age will launch this fall on PS4 and possibly the PS5. The Good Life from popular Japanese developer Swery has been delayed and will launch late this year. Shoot 'em up game Gray's Counter GM will release on PS4 and PS5 at some point in the future. World crafting sandbox game Grow Song of the Evertree will launch on PS4 sometime later this year. 3D horizontal roguelite cyberpunk action game Loopmancer was announced by Chinese developer eBrain Studio, but no release date was given.
It's a lot going on there. The whole
Really
thing.
is. Really is.
You know what's interesting is to cut you off completely. When they name these games, like Skyrim, right? Skyrim, what is Skyrim? That doesn't exist before the game, but it's part of the lore. That's why the name is interesting or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like when you have a game called, or like even Loopmancer, like if you play the game, it makes sense within the world. But when your game is called Grow Song of the Evertree, there's too many things I have to look up there. I have to know what Evertree is, I have to know what the song is, and I have to figure out why Grow is in front of a colon.
Correct.
So just call it Song of the Evertree then, or call it
Mhm.
Grow. Like whatever. The name should make me want to play the game. I shouldn't have to Google and read fucking 18 pages of lore to understand why it's the fucking Song of Evertree.
No, I totally agree. You can really mess up a name. Like you really can. I know where you're coming from. I hear you. Also, Metroidvania game Elderand was announced by developer Mantra and will release sometime in 2022. Side-scrolling shoot 'em up Darius Burst Another Chronicle EX Plus has been delayed from June 11th today to July 27th on PS4. Narrative adventure game Alfred Hitchcock Vertigo was announced for PS4 and PS5 and will launch late this year.
That might be interesting.
Could be. I don't know anything about that, but that sounds interesting.
Yeah, so film buffs might really be into that. I wonder if it'll be. I wonder what I'm interested.
Yeah, Psychos might be interested in it too. Old school style platformer Frogun or Frogun, I don't know, will come to PS4 and PS5 sometime in 2022.
I think it's
Post-apocalyptic
Froggen.
Froggen? Ah,
Yeah.
okay. That makes more sense. Froggen. Post-apocalyptic golf game, Golf Club Wasteland, was announced for PS4 and will release sometime in August. That game actually looks kind of neat.
Yeah.
Looks kind of neat. 2D twin stick action game Trigger Witch. Here's your game. Will launch on PS4 and PS5 sometime in July. We now know. Action adventure game remake Alex Kidd in Miracle World DX has moved up its release and will now launch on June 22nd on PS4 and PS5. Side-scrolling cinematic adventure game The Eternal Castle Remastered will release on PS4 on June 24th. Freestyle BMX game Urban Trial Tricky Deluxe Edition will come to PS4 on July 22nd. Survival horror game Uoni will launch on PS4 and PS5 on August 19th in the West. A new game from Frostpunk developer 11-Bit Studios will be announced on August the 12th. Developer Blizzard Entertainment announced that popular shooter Overwatch will receive cross-platform play support very soon. Side-scrolling single-player adventure game Greek Memories of Azure will launch on PS5 on August 17th. That game looks super cool. Wildlife photography game Beast of Maravilla Island will release on PS4 sometime later this year.
I want it to be a wildlife pornography game.
Bestialities of Maravilla Island.
Classic.
NIS America announced that action RPG Monarch will launch on PS4 and PS5 in early 2022. Single player third person adventure game Last Stop will launch on PS4 and PS5 on July 22nd. And 2D Metroidvania game Axiom Verge 2 has added PS4 and PS5 versions, and it will launch sometime this summer. And that is all for the news this week. I'll now kick it over to Travis for this week's new releases.
On June 7th, we had Track Breakthrough Gaming Arcade on PS4. That is a stackable platinum for 99 cents if you're interested in trophy hunting. On the 8th, we had As Divine Menace, Chivalry 2. Cooking Simulator, which is a great game if you just want to cause complete chaos. Like you can do some really weird stuff in it. People on PC, I've seen people on PC play this and like do so much shit in the kitchen that the PC will like the game will just turn off.
Just crash it.
I love that so much. Neptuna Reverse on PS5 and 4, Orbital Racer on PS4. I wish you had seen this. I almost sent it to you. It reminds me of a game, but can't put my finger on it. You're literally in orbit and you're flying a spaceship, and there's things you fly through. It reminds
Hmm.
me of something. It's not Star Fox. It's something else that I can't put my finger on. It might come to me later. Also on the 8th, we have Paradox Error,
Hmm.
Ultimate Ski Jumping, which is one of the worst looking games I've ever seen. I mean, it looks like it was made 30 years ago in an arcade, and like, and I watched a guy
Mm.
play it for like 10 minutes. And at first I thought, oh, this is a game that I would download and I would just play it to get trophies. And like, I could see it being like that kind of a game. And it's a good time waster to kill some time. And all you're doing is trying to jump really far. And it's like, you use two buttons. You press X to jump and X to land.
Oh
And then the
God.
more I watched it, like, there's like a little narrative you're following, and like it didn't seem like there was a way to get better. Like you couldn't make your character better. So like he
Hmm.
wins the first couple, and then it's like you have to finish 10th or better to stay on the team. And then he jumps and it says new record on the hill, and then he's like 45th. And
Oh
I'm like,
God.
what the God, I would break everything. Anyway, the last game
Absolutely.
on the 8th is video poker.
Poker. How do I know her?
So on on June 9th, we have Alba, a wildlife adventure.
Hmm.
On the 10th, we have Chicory, a colorful tale. Shikari?
Hickory. Hmm.
Shikari. Okay, there you go. Shikari, a colorful tale.
Hmm.
Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade. Again, they could have stopped after remake. We also have Ninja Gaiden Master Collection.
Mm.
And on the 11th, we have Guilty Gear Strive, which I looked up and don't remember anything about. So that is a solid recommendation. And
Uh,
we also have Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart only on the 5.
so a couple of things here. Ninja Gaiden, but that's okay. Like I said, you're a filthy casual, and then the
Listen, guys.
and then it's okay. It's what makes our podcast good. And then also the fact that you're a sim racer, very unique things about our podcast. Also, Guilty Gear Strive is a big one this week on PlayStation as well. Also I think an 89 on Metacritic. I don't know what the fuck it is. Let's look. Let's get a live
Great.
look. And then
And I
Ratchet.
remembered nothing about it.
Yes, and then Ratchet and Clank, of course, is the big one, the big one this week. Let's look real quick before we go here.
Oh,
We're
I
running.
know why I didn't like it. It was because you sent us a picture earlier of the guy with the reflection in his glasses. Who'd you send us? Captain America? What was that,
It
that
was
fucking
Mister
guy?
Mister Clean.
Yeah. You sent us a picture of Mr. You sent us a picture of Mr. Clean earlier, and the characters from Guilty Gear Strive are in his glasses. That's
Yeah,
why I wasn't interested in it. As soon as
yeah,
I saw anime or
yeah.
mantra,
It had
what is that called?
like a hentai girl on there.
Yeah, I turned my brain off. Like I'm not into that.
Okay, so the latest is on Guilty Gear Strive. Let me go to the PS5 version. Is it different? Yeah. So Guilty Gear Strive PS5 on Metacritic has 25 critic reviews and it sits in at 88.
Dang.
Yeah. Pretty
I mean,
pretty
the
well
art,
renowned fighting game.
yeah, and the artwork is sick. Like,
It really
it's
is.
super artistic. It's super nice, super pretty. I'm not gonna play it, so I just deleted it from my brain.
Yeah, I'm not going to pay $60 for it. So, anyway, that's all for the new game releases this week. Travis, let's sort of wrap this up here by discussing what we're going to be playing in the week ahead.
Let's see. I think tomorrow night I have a ranked FIA race on
Oh, wow.
Gran Turismo. I think we're at Laguna Seca, I think, and then the
Hmm.
GR4 cars, which aren't bad. The DB9 that you drive, and the GR4, it's a chunky boy, but it's really good in the turns. It has a lot of power in that car, but when they turn the balance of power on, you really lose that top end down the straight. But Laguna Seca doesn't really, you don't really need that there. So it's okay. We have another race in our league on Sunday. I missed the last race. I think I'm still fifth or sixth in points. So it really affected me to miss
Right.
the race. I can't remember where we are this weekend, but it's not a track that I hate, so I should be able to do okay there. I think third or fourth is a solid goal for that. I'm sure I'll throw in some FIFA. Definitely want to try Operation Tango.
Oh, yeah. I have it downloaded.
Yeah, so I like to try that this weekend just to see if it's it
Mhm.
looks interesting. It looks like it might be a good game to play
Mhm. Need to stream it.
for sure. And I'm gonna keep chopping people's heads off and shooting them with arrows and stuff. It's been fun. And
Fucking love
there's
it.
by the way, there is so much cosmetic shit. There's like 45 faces and like I gotta go through and do all my characters. I want them all to have beards.
Oh, that's awesome. I haven't even looked at that stuff.
So I need to do all that, and you can change all kinds of stuff on them. By the way, when you got off last night, I started the last board as a peasant. I had a pitchfork.
Mm. Mhm.
Don't know why. And this guy ran at me on the other team, and I threw my pitchfork at him, and then he immediately cut me in half. So that was a pretty good start to the match. So, with that being said, that game's pretty hilarious sometimes.
I love it. I can't recommend it enough. It's fantastic. Anything else you're playing, or is that it?
No. Oh, by the way, do you want to let them know? I sent you a picture from my vacation. Would you like to describe the picture I sent you, and then tell them what you said about me in the picture?
Hmm. Which one?
The one of me in the race car.
Oh. Yes. So Travis sent me a picture when he was on vacation. He was visiting Indianapolis Motor Speedway, correct?
Yeah, because I'm a huge fucking nerd.
Yeah, he's a big racing nerd. So I'm not lying to you guys. He is a true racer, okay? True sim racer. Anyway, so he took a picture, had his wife take a picture of him in an Indy car. Is that correct?
Yes, it was in
And,
Rick Mears' IndyCar, which I farted in.
and yes, he farted in it. He sends me the picture and he says, "I just farted in a Rick Mears car." And in the picture, he has the biggest smile I've ever seen for Travis. And I replied to him. I said, "Nice picture. It's the first time I've ever seen you happy." And
Just
it really was.
just let me can I give you a breakdown why I was so happy?
Yeah.
Okay, so I had to get in line to sit in the car, first of all. I watched multiple 70-year-old men and women get in and out of an Indy car and barely make it. Like, it was a few times like, "Dude, if she falls, we're gonna have to call an ambulance. If she's on the ground knocked out, do I still get to sit in the car? What are the rules?" I had a lot of questions.
uh,
I finally get to sit in the Indy car. I've never sit in an Indy car, and I've always wondered how it feels to be in a really narrow cockpit, and
really
it's
narrow
like
cock, huh?
yeah. Yeah, it's like you're in in a hammock and you're like an inch off the ground. It's fucking wild, and like
Mm.
it's like a coffin on wheels. It's like
Oh, yeah.
I can't imagine what it's like to actually run a race in one.
Yeah.
And I fart.
And tell me it was loud, please.
No, it wasn't loud, but I love to fart. It makes me really happy to fart. I'm really happy when they smell bad,
Uh-huh.
especially when my friends are around. Just nothing makes me happier. So I'm in a
Uh-huh.
race car. I'm really happy that I'm in a real race car. I'm feeling what that's like. And then I fart, which is my second favorite thing in the world. And it's just it all came together. And
God.
there's people waiting to get in line. So, if it smells, they gotta come sit in the shitty seat. It's just all of it's great. I love the
If
whole
you
spectacle.
if you had died right in that moment, that would've you couldn't have been asked for anything better, huh?
No, it'd have been great. It would have been
Yeah.
hilarious. I mean,
Yeah.
it would have been a great story to tell everybody. You'd been like, "Yeah, he died doing what he loved, farting in a race car."
Don't think I wouldn't have said that at your funeral.
Would have been hilarious.
Well, Travis, this week after that, I'm going to be playing more Chivalry 2 with you, and then I hope to make a little bit of a headway in Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, so I can have a little bit more to say about it next week. But the other thing that has been out there all this time, after all these days gone, I still have to beat Days Gone.
I'll believe it when I see it.
So I'm hoping to be able to beat Days Gone this week. I've got to get that off my list. I'm so close, yet so far away. That just perturbs me for some reason. So those are really the three things that are on my list. The last thing I want to say before we go here is that when I set up my new PS5 yesterday, I used the app to like configure it or whatever, sign into it, and it was 20. I was without a PS5 for 26 days. 26
Wow.
days was the last time that I played PS5 before yesterday. So to answer your question from a prior episode, I was 26 days gone from my PS5, and it was fucking brutal. Every day was awful. So anyway, that's all we've got. Hope you guys enjoyed the show, and if you did, don't forget to subscribe so that you never miss an episode every Monday in your podcast service. or if you subscribe on YouTube, you'll get it there as well. You can also check out some of our game streams and clips there as well. We'll be doing that a little bit more now that I'm back in the fold. We may even stream some Chivalry and, of course, Operation Tango at some point. Maybe Travis Willis races. And then lastly, if you guys want to talk with us, don't forget to find us on Twitter at the DualSense Pod. And then I guess the really last thing is that if you have a friend or a loved one who may enjoy a PlayStation podcast like this, where they can get all of the week's news, rumors, new game releases, and a little more in less than 90 minutes, then by all means, please send them our way. We would be much obliged. We hope you guys have a good week. Take care. COVID's almost over. Not really, depending on where you live. Where we live, it's almost over. It's over today, actually. You guys stay safe out there. Get your jabs. We'll talk at you next week. Bye-bye.